What if one of the Brown family's own children just revealed the biggest reason she refuses to raise her kids the way she was raised? For years, Sister Wives fans watched the Brown family navigate life in a plural marriage. On television, viewers saw birthdays, holidays, family meetings, and emotional conversations. But behind those familiar scenes, many of the Brown children were growing up with experiences that looked very different from what audiences saw on screen. Now, Maddie Brown is opening up in a way that has fans talking all over again. Her recent comments about growing up in what she described as a chaotic environment have reignited conversations about the lasting impact of life inside the Brown family. Even more importantly, Maddie made it clear that becoming a mother changed the way she views her own childhood. She says her priority is giving her children the stability she believes every child deserves. Those remarks have sparked a wave of discussion among Sister Wives fans. Some believe her words reflect the realities of growing up in such a large and constantly changing family. Others see them as another sign of the continuing distance between Kody Brown and several of his adult children. Whatever your opinion may be, one thing is clear. As more Brown family members have shared their own perspectives in recent years, viewers have started piecing together a more complete picture of what life may have been like. Every new interview, podcast appearance, or public comment adds another layer to a story that fans have followed for well over a decade. This time, it's Maddie's perspective that's drawing attention. Unlike the dramatic confrontations viewers often saw on television, her message wasn't centered on creating controversy. Instead, it focused on something much more personal: the kind of home she wants to build for her own family. She explained that becoming a parent completely changed the way she thinks about childhood. Looking at life through her children's eyes made her reflect on her own experiences in a much deeper way. According to Maddie, she wants her children to grow up with consistency, emotional security, and routines they can depend on. She has spoken about wanting to break patterns rather than repeat them. That single idea has resonated with thousands of fans. Many parents know exactly what she's talking about. Growing up teaches us many lessons, but becoming a parent often changes how we interpret those memories. Things that once seemed normal can suddenly look very different when you're responsible for raising children yourself. That's why Maddie's comments have connected with so many people, not just Sister Wives viewers, but parents who understand the desire to create a better future for the next generation. Naturally, fans immediately began asking an important question: was she indirectly talking about Kody Brown? Although Maddie did not frame her comments as a direct attack, many viewers believe they reflect broader issues that have been discussed within the Brown family for years. As relationships between Kody and several of his adult children have become more strained, every new public statement is closely examined by fans searching for clues. Social media quickly filled with reactions. Some viewers praised Maddie for speaking honestly while remaining respectful. Others said her words confirmed concerns they had developed after watching the family change over the years. And as always, there were fans who urged everyone not to jump to conclusions, reminding people that every family's story is more complicated than what can fit into a television episode or a short interview. Still, one thing was impossible to ignore. This conversation isn't happening in isolation. For several seasons now, Sister Wives has documented major changes within the Brown family. Christine decided to leave the plural marriage. Janelle followed her own independent path. Meri also moved forward with her life, while Kody and Robyn, those events dramatically reshaped the family's relationships. As each chapter unfolded, more of the adult children gradually began sharing their own experience, allowing viewers to hear perspectives that weren't always front and center during the show's earlier years. Now, Maddie's voice has become part of that larger conversation. But what she revealed next gave fans even more to think about. And it may explain why creating a peaceful home has become one of her biggest priorities today. That's where the story takes another emotional turn. As fans continued discussing Maddie's heartfelt remarks, one theme kept surfacing again, and again, stability. For many longtime Sister Wives viewers, that single word carries a lot of meaning. Over the years, audiences watched the Brown family move from state to state, adjust to new homes, and navigate constant changes in family dynamics. While those transitions became part of the show's storyline, Maddie's recent reflections have encouraged many fans to consider what those experiences may have felt like from a child's perspective. When you're young, frequent change can become your normal. But as an adult, especially after becoming a parent yourself, it's natural to look back and ask difficult questions. What parts of my childhood helped shape me? What experiences do I want to repeat? And what patterns do I want to leave behind? That appears to be the journey Maddie has been describing. Rather than focusing on blame, her comments centered on creating a different future for her own children. She has spoken about wanting a home where routines are dependable, where her children know what to expect, and where they can grow up with a strong sense of security. It's a message that resonates far beyond reality television. Many parents understand the desire to learn from their own upbringing, keeping the traditions that brought comfort while changing the experiences they believe could have been. That's why so many fans connected with Maddie's words. Across social media, viewers praised her thoughtful approach. Instead of turning her childhood into a public feud, they felt she was sharing an honest reflection on how becoming a mother changed her perspective. Others pointed out that children often experience family life differently than adults realize. A situation that parents manage one way can leave a completely different impression on the children living through it. That doesn't necessarily mean anyone intended harm. It simply means every family member remembers the same experiences through a different lens. For the Brown family, that idea feels especially significant. Growing up in a large plural family meant balancing multiple households, changing schedules, and relationships that evolved over time. While many fans admired the family's commitment to making plural marriage work, others questioned whether such a complex lifestyle inevitably created emotional challenges for the children. Those conversations have become even more common in recent years. As more of the Brown children have reached adulthood, they've begun sharing their own story, giving viewers perspectives that weren't always visible during the show's early seasons. Each interview, podcast appearance, or public conversation adds another piece to a much larger puzzle. And now, Maddie's reflections have become one of the biggest talking points in that ongoing discussion. Some fans believe her comments indirectly explain why several of Kody Brown's relationships with his adult children appear distant today. Others argue it's unfair to draw that conclusion from a few public remarks. After all, family relationships are rarely simple, and every person's experience is unique. Still, one thing is difficult to ignore. The Brown family today looks very different from the one viewers first met years ago. Christine has built a new chapter of her life. Janelle has embraced her independence. Meri has also moved forward, and many of the adult children are now raising families of their own, creating traditions that reflect their personal values and life experiences. Naturally, fans compare those new family dynamics with what they watched unfold on television. They wonder how the next generation of Brown children will grow up. Will they have a different experience? Will the lessons learned by their parents shape a new path for the future? For Maddie, the answer seems clear. Her focus isn't on recreating the past. It's on building something stronger for the next generation. That perspective has earned respect from many viewers, even among those who have different opinions about the family's history. But while fans were still discussing Maddie's emotional comments, another question began spreading throughout the Sister Wives community. How does Kody Brown feel as more and more of his adult children publicly reflect on their upbringing? Although Kody hasn't directly responded to these particular requests, the growing public conversation has once again placed the family's complicated relationships under the spotlight. And that's where this story becomes even more emotional, because the discussion is no longer just about the past. It's about whether the Brown family can ever truly heal and whether those fractured relationships can still be repaired. The answers may be far more complicated than anyone expected. As the conversation surrounding Maddie's comments continued to grow, fans found themselves asking an even bigger question. Can the Brown family ever truly move forward if so many of its members are still processing the past? It's a question that has followed Sister Wives for years. What began as a series about a large plural family trying to make their unique lifestyle work has gradually evolved into something very different. Today, the focus is no longer just on polygamy or family traditions. It's on relationships, personal growth, and the lasting effects of choices made over many effects. For longtime viewers, that transformation has been impossible to ignore. In the early seasons, the Browns often emphasized unity. Family meetings, shared celebrations, and group activities were presented as proof that, despite the challenges, everyone was working toward the same goal. But as the years passed, cracks in that image became harder to hide. Disagreements became more frequent. Communication broke down. Eventually, several of the family's most important relationships changed forever. Christine made the difficult decision to leave the plural marriage, marking a turning point that many fans believe changed everything. Not long afterward, Janelle also chose a different path, while Meri continued building a new chapter of her own life. Those decisions reshaped the Brown family in ways few viewers could have imagined during the show's early years. At the same time, many of the Brown children entered adulthood, started careers, got married, and began raising families of their own. Naturally, their priorities changed. Instead of looking at life only through the eyes of children, they were now making parenting decisions themselves. That's why Maddie's recent reflections have attracted so much attention. Her comments weren't simply about remembering childhood. They reflected how becoming a parent can completely change the way someone understands their past. Many people experience that shift. Certain memories carry new meaning once you're responsible for creating a home for your own children. Moments that once seemed ordinary may suddenly raise new questions, while other experiences become valuable lessons about what you want to continue or change. For many viewers, that's exactly what they heard in Maddie's message. She wasn't simply revisiting old memories. She was explaining why those experiences have influenced the kind of mother she wants to be today. That distinction matters. While social media often encourages dramatic headlines and quick conclusions, many fans appreciated that Maddie's focus remained on her own family rather than assigning plan. Even so, the public reaction was intense. Some viewers argued that her comments reflected concerns they've had for years about the challenges of raising children in such a large and constantly evolving structure. Others cautioned against assuming they knew the full story, pointing out that no television series can capture every private conversation or every family experience. It's a reminder that reality TV only shows part of the picture. Episodes are edited. Hours of footage are condensed into short segments, and viewers inevitably form opinions based on what they see, even though many important moments happen away from the cameras. That's why every interview or public statement from a Brown family member attracts so much attention. Fans are always trying to understand the parts of the story they never got to and the parts of the stand never got to see. In Maddie's case, her reflections added another perspective. Not a complete explanation, but another piece of a much larger puzzle that has been developing for years. Meanwhile, online discussions quickly shifted toward another sensitive topic. If several adult children have spoken about wanting something different for their own families, what does that say about the future of the Brown family as a whole? Will the emotional distance between Kody and some of his children continue, or is there still room for healing? No one outside the family can answer those questions with certainty. Relationships are deeply personal, and healing often happens privately, away from television cameras and social media headlines. Still, fans continue to hope that, despite everything that's happened, meaningful conversations could eventually take place. Because at the heart of every headline, every interview, and every online debate is one simple reality. This is still a family that has experienced love, conflict, joy, disappointment, and enormous change in front of millions of viewers. And perhaps that's why so many people remain invested after all these years. They're not just watching a reality show anymore. They're watching real people navigate complicated relationships while trying to build better futures for themselves and for the next generation. But just when it seemed the discussion couldn't become any more emotional, fans began revisiting older moments from the series and comparing them with what the Brown children are saying today. Those comparisons have opened an entirely new chapter in the conversation. As fans revisited older episodes of Sister Wives, many began looking at familiar scenes from an entirely new perspective. Moments that once seemed like ordinary family disagreements were now being discussed alongside the reflections shared by several of the Brown children over the years. So while viewers may interpret those scenes differently, one thing became clear. Time has changed how many people view the family's journey. When the series first premiered, its central message focused on togetherness. The Browns wanted to show that, despite living a lifestyle many people didn't understand, they could function as one united family. Viewers watched birthdays, graduations, holiday celebrations, and countless family meetings designed to demonstrate cooperation among the households, but maintaining that vision became increasingly difficult. As the family expanded, responsibilities grew, children became adults, and life naturally pulled everyone in different directions. The challenges that were once manageable became more complicated, and emotional distance began replacing the closeness many fans remembered from the early seasons. By the time major family changes unfolded, including Christine's departure from the plural marriage and Janelle and Meri choosing new paths, the dynamic. Those turning points didn't just affect the adults. They also influenced how viewers understood the experiences of the Brown children, many of whom were now speaking as adults with families of their own. That's why Maddie's recent reflections have sparked such meaningful conversations. Rather than focusing only on what happened years ago, she emphasized the kind of environment she wants to create today. Her message centered on stability, consistency, and giving her children a childhood built around security and predictability. For many viewers, that wasn't a statement about dwelling on the past. It was about looking toward the future. Fans across social media praised her for speaking thoughtfully and avoiding sensational accusations. Many said her comments reflected the reality that every parent hopes to improve on certain aspects of their own upbringing, regardless of whether they came from a traditional family or an unconventional one. Others noted that children from the same household often remember the same, and it's very different. One sibling may recall a period as exciting and adventurous, while another remembers it as stressful or uncertain. Both perspectives can exist at the same time. That's one reason conversations about childhood are rarely simple. They're shaped by personality, age, individual relationships, and countless experiences that outsiders never fully see. The Brown family's story is no exception. After more than a decade in the public eye, millions of viewers feel connected to the family, yet only the people who lived those experiences truly know every detail. As a result, each new interview or public statement naturally generates discussion, but it doesn't provide the entire picture. Even so, Maddie's comments have encouraged many fans to reflect on how much the Brown family has evolved since the show's beginning. The children who once appeared on screen are now adults making independent decisions, raising families, and defining success on their own terms. That evolution may be one of the most significant developments in the entire Sister Wives story. The series no longer follows only the parents. Increasingly, viewers are interested in the lives of the next generation and the values they choose to carry forward. Will they embrace traditions from their childhood? Will they intentionally create something different? Or will they find a balance between the two? Those questions continue to fuel discussion among fans, especially as more of the Brown children occasionally share their own perspective. For now, Maddie's message appears to be one of growth rather than resentment. She has spoken about learning from her experiences and focusing her energy on building the best possible future for her own family. Many viewers see that as a hopeful outlook, one that acknowledges the past without allowing it to define the future. Still, one major question remains unanswered. As the Brown family story continues to unfold both on and off television, could these honest reflections eventually lead to reconciliation? Or will they simply highlight how much has changed since the family first invited cameras into their lives? The answer may shape the next chapter of the Brown family's story, and fans will undoubtedly be watching closely to see what happens next. In the final part, we'll look at what Maddie's reflections could mean for the future of the Brown family, how fans are reacting overall, and why this conversation may be one of the most important developments in the Sister Wives community this year. As the conversation surrounding Maddie Brown's comments continues to spread across the Sister Wives fan community, one thing has become increasingly clear. This story is about far more than revisiting old memories. It's about growth. It's about perspective, and it's about what happens when children who grew up in the spotlight become adults raising families of their own. For nearly 2 decades, viewers have watched the Brown family experience moments of happiness, heartbreak, celebration, and conflict. Millions of fans have followed their journey from the earliest seasons to the dramatic changes that reshaped the family in recent years. But time has changed everyone's role in that story. The children who once appeared on television are no longer just observers of family decisions. They're parents, they're spouses. They're building careers, creating homes, and making choices based on their own experiences. That is exactly why Maddie's recent reflections have resonated with so many people. Rather than focusing on blame, she has emphasized what she wants for the next generation. Her comments about wanting a more stable environment for her children have sparked thoughtful conversations among fans, not only about the Brown family's past, not about the universal experience of learning from childhood and applying those lessons as an adult. Many viewers have praised her approach. Instead of reopening old family conflicts, they believe she's using her own experiences to shape a different future for her children. Others have pointed out that every family's story is complex, and that no single interview or public statement can fully capture decades of relationships and personal experiences. Both perspectives have become part of the ongoing discussion. As always, social media has been filled with a wide range of reactions. Some fans see Maddie's comments as another sign of the emotional distance that appears to exist between Kody Brown and several of his adult children. Others believe it's important not to assume motives or assign blame without hearing every side of the story. That's a fair reminder. Families are complicated. Memories differ, and healing rarely follows a straight path. One person's experience doesn't erase another person's perspective, and understanding a family's history often requires compassion for everyone involved. Still, there's no denying that the Brown family's story has entered an entirely new chapter. The focus is no longer only on plural marriage. Today, viewers are watching something much more personal: how each member of the family is rebuilding their life after years of dramatic change. Christine has embraced a new beginning. Janelle has continued creating a life on her own terms. Meri has moved forward into a different chapter, and many of the Brown children, including Maddie, are defining what family means for themselves. that evolution may ultimately become one of the most important legacies of Sister Wives. The show introduced audiences to an unconventional family structure, but over time, it has also documented something universally relatable: the challenge of balancing the past and the past and the past and the past and the future. Whether fans agree or disagree with the choices made along the way, many continue watching because they see real people navigating difficult transitions. And perhaps that's why Maddie's reflections have struck such a powerful chord. They remind us that becoming a parent often changes how we understand our own childhood. It encourages reflection, it inspires growth, and sometimes it leads people to make different choices, not out of anger, but out of hope for the next generation. As new episodes, interviews, and public conversations continue to unfold, it's likely that fans will keep analyzing every update from the Brown family. Will relationships improve over time? Will more family members choose to share their perspectives? And could future conversations eventually lead to greater understanding between those who have grown apart? Only time will answer those questions. For now, one thing is certain: the Brown family's journey continues to evolve, and every new chapter offers viewers another opportunity to better understand the people they've watched for so many years. But we'd love to hear from you. Do you think Maddie's comments were simply about creating a better future for her children, or do you believe they also reflect deeper issues within the Brown family? Share your thoughts in the comments below, but remember to keep the discussion respectful. If you enjoyed this update, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Sister Wives news, updates, and behind-the-scenes discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.